Hello there everybody and welcome back to episode 3 of my tutorial series for Rimworld version 1.5. In the previous episodes we have set up our base camp with a storage facility, a bedroom area, a freezer, and a kitchen to be. We just need to get that roof down. So the main topics for today will be working with this work schedule menu. I want to get talking about recreation. We're going to make a recreation room today. And if the time is still there, I want to go into the research as well. We'll see how far we'll get. So first things first, the kitchen here ain't ready yet. So in situations like these, if you want to speed up a building project, there's a very cool trick that you can utilize, and that is order cut plants in the orders menu. Now, what will happen is that your plant guy will now go and cut the trees, whereas your construction guy has some time to fill the blank spots here, and that's that. I also wanted to mention in the previous episode, I didn't really talk about it a lot. These coolers here, for one, they replace a wall. So that means if they get attacked and breached, the whole thing is open and it ain't cooling anymore. The other thing is currently 2 cooler units are enough. This will change though, depending on the situation of the game. If there is currently a heat wave in the middle of the summer, it might be that these 2 coolers will not be enough anymore. So check your indoors temperature of your freezers regularly, and especially in heat times, you should do that because that'll help you to find those problems before they matter. So here now, the moment these things are built, it's again an indoors situation, and you can see temperature is dropping down. We also have had a notification now that it's summer. So I want to make sure that things are going to be done efficient, more efficient. So let's head on over into this area and work with this menu for real. So when you flick this switch, you see that the check marks turn into numbers. This is a prioritization system. So the very first thing is things get done from here to there. So whenever somebody has nothing to do, the game will check, is there a fire to fight? If no, is there an injury on me that needs me to make myself turn myself into a patient? No. Is there somebody injured that needs to get doctored? No. Do I need bed rest? No. Is there any basic thing I get done? And so on and so forth. As long as all these numbers are the same, the priority list will be pluckered down just the way I described it there. So, for example, now I want that Furious is going to be the guy on the farm fields. So we're left clicking now on Grow and Plant Cut and increasing the priorities for these. The actions here, I just want to explain a few that are a little bit hazy. So I went over this already. This is how important it is to be a patient. And if you hold left click, if you hold left shift and then left click patient, you see we're changing the priority for the entire thing. If we right click, we lower the priority. If we do it like that, they ignore that task. Don't do that on patient. I personally have the preference on this on 1, so everybody, if he is injured, will try to go for a bed first and seek a doctor. That is very, very good. The same thing I do for firefighting. You need to sometimes pull that down again if there is a flash fire and people are going crazy because they're just trying to fight a fire that's not fightable, but in 90% of the time, this is the correct setting for me because that means everybody will drop anything that they're currently doing and try to fight that fire. And that is, since currently our base is entirely made out of wood, probably a really good idea. So, doctoring is what the name says. It is configuring if you are treating somebody's injuries. Here things get a little bit more complex though. The quality of your doctoring skill, and if you mouse over, you see the exact number, does have a huge influence on the quality of the treatment And the quality of the treatment is very important in this game. Very, very important. Therefore, I recommend you to have the standard setting like your highest doctor on 1, and the next people can have that on 2 or lower, or even on dad. But doctoring, we're going to talk about that later. I just want to go over a few basics. Bed rest, well, this is recuperation for non-life-threatening things. So that means if you have it on that, if somebody has a disease that is cured faster in bed, they'll stay in bed all day long. If you have it like that, they'll do all the other things first that have a higher priority before they seek bed. Personally, I find this is a good thing in the middle. I'll leave it up to you. Basic. Very, very important things. You can extract Scott. No, that's not what I want to talk about. Flicking switches, and this is also refilling stuff like your generators. So basic tasks, I have that always on top-notch priority because these things are usually done very fast and are very important. So, wardening is for prisoners. It's basically the people that give prisoners food and interact with them. It's vital for the survival of your prisoners that somebody has that skill on, otherwise they let these people rot in their prison cells. Handling is animal stuff, and well, I think the other things here go without saying. Growing and plant cutting is here changed, is a cut between these two. So basically growing is stuff that is farming. This is basically mostly the farming things, whereas plant cutting is wood cutting mostly. It's rough about that. So, smithing, tailoring, art, of course, pretty easy things. Crafting are all those things that are not found in these three. Hauling is a very important task, cleaning and researching as well. So, we have now Furious set up to do these things, and I highly recommend to have one of your people on a high priority for hauling, so we're going to do this here. Shield gets a 2 priority on growing and plant cutting, so he'll jump in as soon as he's done with all the hauling. Conway's construction is going to be the most important thing for him, and we're going to let Shield be the primary cook. We could also make it the other way around, but if we'd have this kind of configuration, Conway would be now always cooking instead of constructing. I don't want that, although with cooking, it's similar with like with doctoring, the highest skill produces the least food poisonings. But if you are choosing between a 7 and a 10, both will do pretty fine. So we can turn on the speed of the game again, and I'll put up a cleaning task here and research task as well. So, we have now a little bit of a configuration, and the only thing that I can take away first about this whole topic is there is not a single solution to this little conundrum here. Configure it to your own liking, to your own needs, goals, specifications, and feel free to do it better than I did here. I just slapped a quick thing together to have something to demonstrate. So, the whole work system is a beast for itself, and like I said, you can optimize a lot, and I highly recommend you to do this every now and then. Optimize it whenever a situation changes or when you are unhappy how things are getting done. So, next step I want to take up is I want to set up a room where our people can chill out at. So, a recreational area is very important for the sanity of your people, and well, we're going to make it this size. I think this is generous enough. A smaller area would do as well if you are short on resources. You don't need to make it that large. If you have any needs to get it done fast, a smaller room might suffice as well. But I personally always like to use the recreational room for other purposes as well, or things that I'm going to explain later in the series. But for now, we're going to make that room, and another thing, here in the recreation menu, we're going to set up a horseshoe pin right from the get-go. This is a very common thing for people to do, and they just go there in the wide areas and try to toss things at the horseshoe pin, obviously. So, recreation is a need of your people, just like food and sleep. So that means if you don't provide enough recreation, they'll suffer from that just like they'll suffer from a lack of food and sleep. Recreation deprivation does not kill you, though. Not directly, though. The mental breakdowns have the potential to eventually lead to lethal situations, but it doesn't necessarily kill the person who's losing their mind. Anyways, we are losing our horse, so we're going to set up a pen real quick. Meanwhile, recreation, I'm going to explain that why I'm going to set up here fence gates. Let's make that here real quick. Recreation is a need that can be fulfilled by doing fun things. You don't necessarily need to give them anything to play at, like here with the horseshoe pin. It does work as well to just give them time to wander around. Walk and watch the clouds and lie around and watch the sunset. Your colonists will do these things all on their own every now and then, and that gives them recreation as well. But in general, if you don't work on the recreation thing, your people will go unhappy. And to make matters worse, the thing here is things go boring after a while. So that means if you only have that horseshoe pin, people will be like, yeah, right, I can play some horseshoe, I guess, but they won't gain much recreation on their bar anymore because they kind of like get immunized against that. You see here already, solitary relaxation has the tag bored. That means Conway has spent lately so much time just wandering in the nature that he really craves some good old horseshoe pin action. And Conway, he was supposed to finish that fence. So you can also force projects like this. You select the person, and now I hold down left shift, and now I right click here again and issue these commands. And now I hope it does work like that. Yeah. You see down here a +3 appears, +4, +5. These are queued tasks now. So you can string up a series of things that your people are ought to do. And that's what left shift does. You have to respect one thing though. If you queue up a series of things, your dude will always finish the thing first that he's currently doing. While you're holding left shift, you're always going to put this as the next thing on the list. So if we want to force them fully, we select Conway. Now I only right click, prioritize. You see the arrow now goes there. And now follow up, I hold down left shift and give him all the remaining thingies here. This is tedious, I know, but sometimes when a crisis is at hand, it is so valuable to know how you can micromanage your people like that. Because there are situations in Rimworld that are just that dramatic that it totally is necessary to do that. For example, right now, if we're not doing this fast enough, Notorious is going to run away, and that would be sad. By the way, your pen always needs a pen marker. You find that if you select a piece of fence, you can easily find it there. It's much easier to find it here in the convoluted menus, because I don't know why the pen marker is not here in the structure area. Don't ask me. I really, really don't understand it. Why? I think it is, yeah, it's in the miscellaneous menu. So that's a very odd thing, but it is what it is. So you see our horse is almost wandering away, and it's something we can this way delay. And we can also ask Furious to deliver wood there. So let's see if Furious can catch Notorious. I don't know. This is weirding me out, kind of. Alright. And we're being raided for the very first time. So I think the game just shows us very, very nicely how very many things can happen all at once in Rimworld. So I guess the recreational room will be where we're ending today. So the pirates from the Strife crew are attacking us. We get the information that they are preparing for a while and then be attacking. So this guy here is now running around with a knife. So if he'd be running around anywhere else, I would be able to ignore him for a while. But since he's in the vicinity of my horse, we have to act immediately. So that means I drag and drop a rectangle over the dudes up here and press R to draft them. And now I right click over here to move my folks over there. Because whatever Draper is doing, it's not going to be anything good. So I recommend you to look at your attackers. He's wielding a knife. Now we know that we can gun him down, and he's only dangerous if he gets close. We look it up here and we see melee 2. That means he won't be that much of a big threat. Furious melee 4 is beating his, so there's a fair chance that Furious will win against Draper. But these are chances. Things can go very, very sideways. The other things worth looking up here are if there are any traits that are combat relevant. Sometimes there are traits that are called tough, for example. Tough makes you take 50% less damage. That does make a big difference. So whenever you get attacked, it pays off to take a close look at your enemies. Sometimes that can influence the entire way how you want to fight a situation. So in terms of how we want to fight, this situation is quite clear. We want to get shield with the long range weapon, and if you hover it here, we see that there's this white circle around. We want shield to engage on Draper, so we're slowly moving shield forward, and now Draper moves into the zone, and watch what happens. Shield automatically starts aiming at Draper. So your people have sort of a automatic action, and while we can micromanage every single thing that happens, you can also trust a little bit on the actions of your people. So what we're doing here, we're just hoping for a good shot. You also see that shield just gained a level of shooting, because even missing something is increasing your shooting skills. So bullets in this game are extremely lethal. There is a fair chance thank you, that you can inflict really horrible injuries. So this guy has now a head wound. It didn't kill him outright, but you see here, he's gonna be dying in 11 hours from that gunshot wound if he doesn't get medical treatment. And without medical treatment, he'll eventually collapse from the blood loss and go unconscious. This game is very realistic when it comes down to injuries, and therefore, yeah, gunshot wounds are nothing to sneeze at. So if we hit other parts of the body, this does have different effects. So now we hit his leg, and now his moving skill went down by almost 50%. So Draper is now also dying in 7 hours, and now we get the notification that they are beginning their assault. I don't know why the AI doesn't immediately attack after getting a first bullet in the head, but it is really worth knowing that this works like that. So now Draper gets closer. We have Conway as the second line of defense here, but meanwhile Draper has taken 3 bullets and he's down now. So he dropped his stuff and he's eventually gonna die. We're not gonna take prisoners today because we're not prepared for that, but we are going to pilfer his loot. We're going to let him die here. You could, if you had a prison cell, just rescue the guy, treat his wounds, and then decide either to let him go to back to his home faction, or convert him to one of your people. But I'm going to explain these things when it's time for that. So let's see. Yeah, we lost Furious in the course of that raid. So the horse wandered off of the map's edge. This is why you should build yourself a pen. It's not that much of a big deal. I don't mind. For the learning effect, you would have needed to right-click the animal after you've built a pen, and then you'd get the option to rope the animal into the pen. But, well, what it does mean is we have now no horse to use it for caravans, but since we are just in the basic setup phase, well, if I wouldn't have made a tutorial, I probably wouldn't have had that slip up. But when I'm explaining so many things, I occasionally miss a spot. I'm very sorry about that. So, before Conway gets to sleep, we're going to tell him to build that horseshoe pin. So that thing has a recreational power, and it has a recreational type. It's dexterity play. And what's important about recreational variety is there's several different ways. Wooden chess the chess table is cerebral play. Poker is also cerebral play. And billiards is dexterity play. So the more diverse your entertainment program is, the happier your people will be. That's just what it is. Okay. So we're going to fast forward that night. Usually nighttime is a good time to plan things if you haven't done that already. So Draper died. You can always have a look at these people in the ways of, do you want to recruit them as well? So if they have impressive stats or anything, that might be a reason to try to keep them alive. But yeah, we're going to handle that topic when it's time for that. You can't convert any people into your colony without a prison. That's the first thing that we need to take as a given. All right. So Conway even brought electricity into our recreational room. Also, our bedrooms are now fully geared out. Isn't that nice? Alright, last thing missing here. Don't miss out the floors either on these rooms, because it makes a big difference if people are happy about things or not. Then we add in again a few lamps. And here, mind the light radius. Try to cover the entire room with proper light radius coverage so there are no dark spots in the room. Also, while somebody is constructing, it totally pays off to prioritize construction of the lamps if you have that, if you have the power budget, because your people also build slower in darkness. All work gets slowed down by darkness universally. Therefore, it's a smart choice to just make sure that you have light wherever a lot of work gets done, if it has the potential to be dark there. So that means we are going to need a wall lamp as well in here. Sometimes it can be hard to find things. Here, build copy. And we're going to put that inside the kitchen to be, because I don't want a kitchen without light. People will work pretty slowly in there for no good reason at all. Okay, we're almost there. Good. As you see now, we have a pretty ginormous room, and we are going to put in now also, finally, a table and a couple of dining chairs. So when it comes down to the question, do you want dining chairs or do you want stools? Every item has a comfort rating. Comfort is also a need of your people. Comfort, if it's low, makes them unhappy. If it's high, it makes them happy. So basically, if you're sitting on a stool, you're not going to be happy about sitting on a stool. If you're sitting on a comfy dining chair, you will grow happy because you're sitting on a comfy dining chair. And yeah, it's all about keeping your folks happy over a longer period of time. And eating without a table is something that somehow makes people in Rimworld very, very angry for whatever reason that is. So we have light now here. So it's time to move the stove over here. And while we're at it, we're also going to put in a chess table here, together with some stools as soon as I find them again here. So here I'm making a budget version. You gotta look at that. Here, work left, when you click something, items have work units. So a dining chair is 94 work units, whereas a stool is 6 work units. There is, you know, the difference between simplicity and the other thing, complexity. So we are also going to set up a research bench in here. And I'm going to digress Conway from that job and force him to do the other job. It's sometimes one of the most important things to make sure that people do what they ought to do. And as you see here, they often just interrupt themselves, even if you gave them the order. So you have to reapply those orders sometimes. It is necessary. Okay, we can go into research now as well. So research is very simple. That's why I go for it at the end of this video. So you have a lot of projects here, and basically you see how many research points this project costs and what you'll unlock with it. And basically, after you have selected something, you just need somebody who has a research priority on himself and a research table, preferably with a comfy chair in front of it. So we're going to give that one a dining chair, because don't let the name mislead you. You can research on a dining chair just fine. So all these technologies obviously unlock new things for you. The very first technology that we're going for is the battery technology. Batteries allow you to store produced energy. While it is not really that interesting for a wood-fired generator, it is very interesting for the wind turbines, which we have already unlocked with the crash landed start. You have the technology for that unlocked by electricity tech, and wind turbines have only one severe downside: their unreliability, because they don't do jack if there is no wind currently. But you can alleviate that problem with batteries, and that's why I always research these pretty much as the very first thing in the crash landed start, because it makes you need these guys not anymore. And that is always, always, always a good thing. So, meanwhile, we're going to let Conway do his construction jobs. It is good because it grinds him experience, and that makes all his construction projects better. So it pays off to give your constructors sometimes those lengthy projects so they can learn off of that. But what we're going to force now, after the first chair is finally done, we're going to force him to build the table. The AI decisions are really not the best. You see, he even favors the other chair first, which is nonsense, but well, it is what it is. But with that table now, your people will start taking their meals exactly there, and that's what we're looking for. So in the meantime, our plants here are growing, but we are going to go very soon for some food replenishment moves. So we now have learned recreation. Recreation is a very important thing, and you can't start with that topic too early. Generally, let's harvest some berries. You want to keep your people happy. We have learned if we don't build pens, some of our animals will eventually roam away and get lost. And we have also learned that research requires just a research table, a click here, and a prioritization in the work menu, and of course that work menu was also in the video. I hope you found that all helpful, my good friends, and I'm looking forward to the next episode. Leave me your comments down below if you have any further questions or anything that you might want to know. Put it down there in the comments and I'll see what I can do for you, friends. Oh, Gazelle is self-tamed. Leave me a thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed, and consider subscribing. Check out the description box. You'll find the entire playlist to this video series there, alongside with Discord channel of mine, my Twitch channel, and PayPal, Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee if you want to support the channel. I'd be very happy about that. Also, there is a channel membership system, so you might want to check that out if you want to have early access on my videos once they are scheduled for release. That all being said, a big thanks to everybody supporting Icon Gaming, and big thanks to you watching this video right now. I really appreciate having you around, and I hope to have you on the next video as well, when we are going to start setting up workshop and start working with real materials, not only with wood. See you there. Bye bye.